Is that Emma?
Mhm.
Hi, Emma.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, you got a pair of readers? Thank you, thank you.
Some real old man.
They call full service man.
What color would you like?
I buy them by the gross.
Yeah, me too.
Have everywhere.
It is. How are we doing, Elmstead?
Alive.
Dan, you ready?
All righty.
Good evening and welcome to the April 12th Village of Mamaroneck Budget Work Session. I need a motion to open this meeting. So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The first department that we're going to be with tonight, we're going to be doing the police department, the clerk treasurer, village manager, and the human resources. So we have 4 departments. So let's get right into it. And we're going to start with the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department. And tonight we are joined by Chief DeRuza, Lieutenant Trujillo, and Lieutenant Gata. I'm sorry. Just spaced. Thank you all for coming tonight. Chief, you want to get started?
Sure.
All right, man.
So if we could put the presentation on. Oh, okay. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so. Village of Mamaroneck Police Department budget presentation. So this screen highlights the last 7 officers that we hired last year. We have Officer Jose Fernandez, Officer Ken Ibias, Officer June Sanchez, Officer Kimberly Chaparelli, Officer Ivan Crespo Loja, Officer Stephen Ibanez, and Officer Jake Uchella. Also included is the acronym for VMPD, Vision, Mindfulness, Professionalism, and Dedication. On this slide, you'll see the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department mission statement. We, the members of the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department, strive to promote and enhance quality of life for all who live and work in the village in which we serve. With dedication to professionalism and integrity in our duties, we pledge to maintain a safe and friendly community. In partnership with the community, we pledge to protect the lives and property of our fellow residents and impartially enforce the law, fight crime through prevention and by aggressively pursuing violators of the law, maintain a higher standard of integrity than is generally expected of others because so much is expected of us, value human life, respect the dignity of each individual, and render our services in a professional, courteous, and civil manner. This slide highlights our organizational chart, which shows the 3 main divisions: our community service division, our investigations division, and our administrative division, and the personnel that encompasses each division. So some background information. So as of the 2020 census, the village is made up of approximately 20,151 residents. That was increased from 2010 of 6.5%. We are approximately 6.6 square miles, which includes land of 3.2 and water, which is 3.4. The VMPD is budgeted for 51 sworn police officers and more than 40 other employees, including day constables, administrative staff, part-time employees, and seasonal employees. Our fleet includes 33 vehicles, which includes motorcycles, boats, an electric vehicle, hybrid engine vehicles, gas engine vehicles, a canine vehicle, a prisoner van, and a trailer. It is anticipated that 5 of our gas engine vehicles this year will be replaced with hybrid vehicles. Some statistics that have been included for the last 3 years. So our calls for service, as you can see, has increased from the prior year. Our moving violations have gone down slightly, which could be attributed to the shortage of approximately 9 officers for about 3/4 of the year last year. Similarly, our parking violations went down slightly due to the same reason. Also, some of our parking enforcement officers had to be utilized for school crossings due to shortages in our school crossing guards. Our arrests about doubled from last year to this year. Just to give you some background information, the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department is the third busiest village in Westchester County. Portchester is first, the Village of Ossining, and then the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department. We are also 14th busiest in the county of 42 municipalities. Some of our increases can be attributed to larcenies, including catalytic converters, which increased from 12 in 2021 to 41 last year. Our criminal investigations therefore went up due to multiple investigations that had to be conducted, not only into larcenies, but into burglaries and other types of things. Our youth investigations and interactions increased, not only due to complaints, but also some proactive engagement at our schools. Domestic violence incidents went up slightly. That could be attributed to some more documentation of people documenting incidents of domestic violence due to education, feeling more comfortable with the police coming forward to report those incidents. Our training hours, as you can see, was up significantly from last year. That's due to the increase of hiring that we did. We had to have mandatory training hours for those officers, as well as 1,468 hours attributed to police reform associated training and 184 hours in officer wellness training. In terms of our crime, they are categorized as two different offenses, our part 1 and part 2. So the part 1 offenses considered to be violent crimes are listed there. And they did go up from last year from 241 to 278. Our part 2 offenses are considered to be less violent crimes, which are listed there as well. And they only dropped by 6 from last year. Some of our accomplishments for the department from last year.
Kidnapping's a part 2 crime?
This is not important.
Some of our accomplishments for last year, we acquired body-worn cameras, and we are actually in the midst of doing a trial right now with a few officers, so we're hoping to have those deployed fully in the next couple of weeks. We acquired and deployed 4 new speed signs. We acquired 3 license plate readers. Right now, 1 is deployed, and we are awaiting 2 more deployments with the help of the county.
Good.
We have updated and or reviewed numerous departmental policies in anticipation of New York State accreditation site visit. We've partnered with Portico to implement a police department wellness app. We have 2 officers who became certified as child safety seat installers. We have made several significant arrests involving prostitution, drugs, and burglaries. We received $46,248 in grant funding last year. We introduced the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department standalone website in both English and Spanish languages. We acquired Nixle, which is our community notification tool. We hosted our first national night out event. We participated in Coffee with a Cop as well as other community events. We hired 7 police officers, and we participated in various New York State traffic enforcement initiatives. Our goals for this year include full deployment of our body-worn cameras, continue to update and revise the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department Manual of Procedure, complete the process for New York State accreditation. We have a site visit scheduled for the 3rd quarter of this year.
Who does the site visit?
I'm sorry.
Who does the site visit?
So it's people from DCJS. They will come here and it's usually a 3-day assessment that they'll be on site conducting that assessment. We hope to continue to offer officer wellness initiatives, continue to provide training opportunities, including crisis intervention training, de-escalation training, and acquire additional training tools, continue community engagement events, continue our foot patrols, and acquire additional license plate readers to aid in investigations.
What about Ike? Didn't mention Ike.
What about I?
Well, that's the issue. So I guess have I fully trained and ready to go.
Fun noise.
Is that gonna be her signal?
It's any major changes we should be aware of in the police budget?
So there are just a couple of things that I'd like to highlight. So I have two different ones that I'm working on here. So I would say first thing maybe I'd like to talk about a little bit is our crossing guards. So we have 19 fixed posts for our school crossing guards. And we usually like to have 3 to 4 standby crossing guards. We did have some difficulties in maintaining or trying to recruit new crossing guards. So what we did was we had an analysis done of neighboring jurisdictions to see what types of things that they offer, how they're paying their crossing guards. So Jerry and I met with 2 crossing guards to review some of their requests, things that they would like to see. So that's why you're going to see specifically for a couple lines, a huge increase. So one of the things we felt, and I believe it's on page 4, at the bottom talks about school crossing guards. So one of the things was to give them a 10% raise, which they're about $21 and change right now. So anyone who has at least 3 years, we would like to give them a 10% increase in their hourly rate.
Is that a full-time job, crossing guard?
No, it's not. One of the other things which we talked about, which I believe is on page 5, talked about giving them an incentive. Obviously, it's very difficult when a school crossing guard is not at their post, because then we do need to backfill with either an enforcement officer or a police officer. So to try to incentivize them, what the village manager and I spoke about was to give them an incentive. So what we were proposing was to offer them 3 personal days that they would have to advise in advance that they were going to use those days. However, if they don't, they would receive a bonus for not using those days. So originally, the number that was suggested was $500. I don't know how you feel about that, and looking at it and looking at what the hourly equation would be, it would be about $250. So if you were open to giving them that bonus, then maybe instead of 500, we can reduce it to 300 or 250. I would leave that decision up to you. Right now, in the budget, it's listed as a $500 bonus for those 3 days. Also, as part of the crossing guards, we also wanted to offer them a stipend or a shoe allowance. So that is listed under a different line. It's actually on page 8 for shoes. So the stipend that was suggested was to give each of the school crossing guards $150 towards shoes. If that doesn't seem reasonable, then maybe we can reduce that to a smaller number, but still give them some kind of a benefit for that, if you're open to that.
Is that I'm sorry, is that something that they requested? Is like the crossing guards aid?
So they came forward with several items, some that we were not open to because we couldn't do it in terms of some benefits and things like that. I don't recall if that was one they came up with. Jerry, do you remember if they came up with that?
It was, yes, it was.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, Danielle was at that meeting too. So that is something.
okay, I'm just making sure it was like not something we just thought of and
Yeah.
it was something that they requested.
It's typical of employees who work outside that they would get a boot allowance or shoe allowance.
Understood.
And then also a small increase to replacement or upgrades for clothing. They expressed interest in having a jacket with some kind of symbol that signifies them as being a member of the village of Mamaroneck as a crossing guard, a sense of belonging. So, that was one thing with the crossing guards. In terms of overtime. So that's on page 6. So right now, it's listed at $650,000. I will do my best to stay within that. However, based on prior years, I am projecting we would probably exceed that current number. Due to the amount of village projects that are going on where an officer is required for safety, to direct traffic and show a presence. Also with the amount of arrests and investigations that we have going on, our proactive enforcement of things like prostitution, drug activity, that takes man hours to accomplish that sometimes. So although I'll do my best, I can foresee that number going above that.
And Chief, I could expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
Mayor and board, the chief had originally requested a higher number. And in order to shave the budget in certain areas, I had to look at certain items that we would be able to either accommodate in a different method or take a look at a little bit differently. And while I can't speak to, because we don't get reimbursed for investigations or extra time due to typical ordinary police overtime, we will have an increase in traffic control and construction duty for the police department, especially with the increase of the hourly rate. And that's something that we can adjust as we go through the annual budget when we need to. And that's not too much of a concern. Excuse me, in my opinion, regarding the inability for us to collect that money from the construction projects.
What was the original request for overtime?
750,000, I believe, right, Chief?
That's correct. And I am hoping, because we did hire officers last year, that will alleviate some of our shortages in patrol. However, this year I am anticipating retirements as well. So hopefully we fill those rather quickly, that will reduce our overtime for having to backfill
Right.
patrol, overtime officers. Everything else in the budget pretty much stayed the same. The one other thing that I would submit to you for consideration would be the addition of a 5th parking enforcement officer. So you would see that on page 17. So since the inception of PEOs, there has been an increase in the amount of meters that have been installed throughout the village.
17. Yeah.
We're on a slightly different, it's kind of back.
What's the budget line, chief?
3321, I think.
It's and here it's 3320-0110.
Yeah, it's the second one.
Yeah.
Page 12 in our.
So, like I was saying, there has been an increase in the amount of meters that have been installed throughout the village. There has the residential parking has been established. There has been an increase in areas that need to be monitored. There are times we have had to utilize parking enforcement officers for crossings, which reduces their ability to enforce those certain areas. And we do have to allow them time off for vacations and things like that. So the analysis that I did was I was able to run a report, and I ran it for this fiscal year. So from June of 2022 to March of this year. And the total amount that I had obtained through that report was an amount of $236,280 in base fines, and a total amount due of $293,507, which would include penalties. So that equates to about $59,070 per PEO for the amount of money that they bring in with fines. So my thought is, if we were able to hire another parking enforcement officer, obviously there would be more enforcement, the ability to write additional summonses, more fines. as well as more coverage for the areas that we have here in the village.
Now that they cover the meters and they also cover areas what is 2-hour parking, like
Yes.
by the railroad stations,
And the residential.
residential. Yeah.
parking areas.
And what about the cars that are parked where they're not supposed to be? I mean,
So that can be enforced either by a park enforcement officer or by an officer. And obviously officers sometimes have other responsibilities, responding to calls for service, things like that. It's difficult for an officer to manage time limited parking. So for example, 90-minute parking, 2-hour parking, things like that, that will be the PEO's responsibility. And like I said, we've had the same number for a very long time, with just staff of 4.
is the PEO able to write tickets for that? If somebody's parked
Fire hydrant.
fire, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Or driveway or something like that, yeah, okay.
So the PEOs have the advantage of having the handheld ticket writer, so all they have to do is scan the registration. It auto populates everything. They can issue a summons in probably 30 seconds, whereas if an officer had to write out a ticket, that could take, minutes, actually. I mean, having
One
to
of the complaints
understand the
has
right
been,
code.
from several groups, and I think even at the traffic commission, was the lack of enforcement.
Mhm.
And it does appear that way, but only for the fact that, one park enforcement officer might have a large area to enforce. And now if there is another park enforcement officer that's off on vacation, now that park enforcement officer has to cover 2 locations,
Mhm.
which would be very large posts, so they might not be able to enforce as expeditiously as possible because they have so burdened with this huge area to have to enforce.
Could they enforce, probably not, but could they enforce things like leaf blower law and stuff like that?
So they can, that's officers that would enforce that.
A PO.
And I presume that what we're talking about here is within normal business hours, like,
That's correct, and we normally have one officer who enforces the downtown
Say,
metered
yeah.
parking from 6 to 8.
has there been any thought to off-hour enforcement, off-hour for you anyway, enforcement of, let's say, an area that has a lot of complaints where you pick a day and you kind of like blanket an area with enforcement at a time when people are not expecting it, so they know that could happen at any time?
So again, the only challenge with that is if we focus on one area, then the other area.
Yeah, another, but it would be kind of like a random thing. You don't know where it's going to happen. That might be a way to at least to let people know that, I keep hearing after 8 o'clock, it doesn't matter. They're not going to come around, right? Or that sort of thing where you can't be sure of that anymore. Would we be able to explore
Right,
that?
so the parking meters on the avenue, I believe, only go till 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then for the residential parking, I believe that ends at 7.
Mhm.
So after that time, there really wouldn't be the enforcement there anyway, aside from fire hydrants, no parking here to corner, things like that, that officers.
There's
would
no
enforce
PEOs
as they
at
see
the.
it. But correct, there will be no PEOs working. But again, the issue comes in when not only, even when the 4 of them are working, they have large areas to cover, but now you can take into the equation, somebody has their regularly scheduled day off,
Mhm.
and now somebody has vacation, now there's only 2 working.
Right.
So it becomes a challenge.
Scheduling wise, you have the ability, let's say that if you're getting, because sometimes, I used to liaise with the traffic commission and trustee Yizer Reed does now and
Blessings.
yes, and they and you'll get, complaints from a certain neighborhood. I mean, is it possible to note that, not that and then say, we're gonna blitz that area on, next Wednesday evening or whatever, or just to let people know that they can't, that it's not a free for, I mean.
So we do, we listen to the complaints. We usually have a lieutenant or a sergeant who attends the traffic meetings as well. And they'll take that information, they'll bring it back to all the sergeants to try to enforce certain areas, especially areas that overnight where there might not be any parking allowed in certain areas. To make sure that the presence is there. but sometimes based on the call volume, they might not be able to do that.
Yeah. I would hope that if you could figure out a way to do it schedule wise, to maybe to have a certain number of I hate to call it blitz days where you're saying we're gonna see where we need to view this, and then you talk with your whoever is liaising with the traffic commission, saying we've got these areas here, so let's pick a couple of days and do that. Would you? I mean, if you could do that, that would be helpful. I don't know if it's possible because people love their schedules to tell them that on this one Wednesday they'll all be coming in at night, or they'll be coming in.
No, but enforcement is one of the issues.
Yeah, in other words, to kind of randomize the enforcement a little bit of this, so people don't think they've got it figured out. No.
Right, so I mean, it would have to be worked out with the parking enforcement officer, but my idea also with having an additional one is now you have not only, the busier areas, you could have this extra parking enforcement officer cover those areas.
Yeah, that would make me more inclined to want to add somebody, sure.
I think their schedule is in
That's
the
definitely.
hours that they work or is in the CSEA contract.
It is, that's correct.
Yeah.
Under the CSEA contract, they work till later, the limit is 8 o'clock, right?
So there is a block that's considered overtime for them, but the regular hours and the schedule is part of the contract. So should you decide to add another parking enforcement officer, I would have to work with CSEA to see how that schedule would work as part of that contract.
Gotcha.
Other than that, everything in my budget is pretty much staying the same.
Great. Any other questions for the chief?
No.
The serious crimes, I mean, you said that they were up, I mean, which serious crimes? Can you give us a breakdown there?
So I'll look at my notes here. So I'll give you an example. So between 2021 to 2022, our larcenies went from 192 to 212. Our burglaries went from 14 in 2021 to 29 in 2022.
Are those home or car?
So the burglaries would be homes.
Homes, okay. Oh, well,
Correct.
motor vehicle, no,
Yeah.
that's not that.
And a lot of the larcenies could be attributed to the catalytic converters. Every jurisdiction municipality is seeing an increase in those stuffs.
I think I misheard you. The burglaries went from 214 to 2.
So in 2021, there was 14, and then
Oh,
last year
14.
29.
Okay,
Now, I thought it was 214 and that seemed like a lot. Okay.
Are there concentrated areas?
So unfortunately, there's not. So it's very challenging to be able to identify. Well, now vehicles are using temporary plates or no plates. So first being able to even track those is difficult because it doesn't come back to anybody because they're not real license plates. But then even if we're going to have officers sit at one location, there's no way to know that because they'll just go to another location. So it's very random.
Mhm.
and and we haven't robberies, negligent manslaughter, there hasn't been any serious jumping at, or?
I believe the number, let me just take a quick look.
We haven't any.
Our totals, I believe they're negligible too. Not to,
So you had no murders, right?
last year,
No, I mean, we would have heard about it.
not last year, no.
And negligent, I mean, do you have numbers for these, is what I'm asking?
Where would trafficking fall under kidnapping or prostitution? Do we have that?
Yep.
Issue?
So I do have here one of my charts from 2021 to 2022. Unfortunately, I don't have it put on here. We can also schedule another meeting for that, but I'll give you an example here. So our assaults in 2021 were 8, in 2022 was 14. Our motor vehicle thefts went from 8 in 2021 to 14 in 2022. We had no rapes in 2021. 2022, we had 5.
Now, does sexual assault fall under rape?
Depending on how it's categorized, correct? Yes.
And how about trafficking? Is that fall under like kidnapping, prostitution?
That's a good question.
So if someone was a victim of let's see, we closed down some type of brothel and there was a worker there, we would interview them and gather intel to find out if they were a victim of trafficking.
And have we had any?
We didn't have any reports in 2022 or 2021.
You said no reports in 2020 or 2022?
2021 and 2022.
Thank you. That's good to know.
Any other questions for this?
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Jerry, I forgot which one you wanted to do next.
CT, clerk treasurer, please.
Okay.
Chief. Thanks, chief.
Clerk treasurer, you're gonna be up next, beginning of leisure. I just have to get something out of my car. So I'll be right back.
I just had a quick question just for gambling in the community. Is there?
There's some slot machine.
Yeah.
No, one we closed down.
Cool. Interesting. My brother's is the-
The piggy bank.
Oh, y'all don't have to stay. If you don't want to stay for the rest of the circles.
No, please, don't.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your evening. Enjoy your evening.
Have a blessed evening.
Thank you.
I'm all organized. See, the builder doesn't know.
That's right. One is dramatically different from the other.
Looks like it was like. Photoshopped in.
Or cake decorations.
Mhm.
It's reminding me of cake.
On this guy.
Oh, yeah. Even the see,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was right, I mean, we were.
Yeah, but that's.
We can't, that's a first.
It was interesting that there was some.
Somebody open the door.
Oh, yeah, and to write, like, yeah, this is a problem, like, this, which is right. We are. Yeah, you know, blindly move forward.
Somebody fell?
What?
I think you said workers' comp case.
Was the floor wet?
I'm sorry, did you wait for me?
Yeah. You're the mayor.
So I wanted to start off the presentation by saying the overall percent increase in the clerk treasurer's office for 24 is 6.27. That will be going up as we added a part-time around our office to assist with mayoral functions in the office. But other than that, we're pretty much flat. Now we're going to roll into the actual budget presentation. The key thing is that I want everybody to remember is the clerk treasurer's office is basically the support staff for the village. We're not only the clerk and the treasury, we're made up of several different departments. Sally now is going to walk you through the different departments in our department.
Anthony? Yes.
I'll do the switch. I think she got it on top one.
Let's make sure you should have given like.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, there you go.
So you'll see from the first page, clerk treasurer, we have the treasurer's position. receiver of taxes, accounts payable, management information systems, the clerk, the registrar, and records management. And on the subsequent pages, you will see the number of our personnel and how that compares to our neighboring municipalities. We're about the same as our neighboring municipalities, maybe a little bit less, a little bit fewer. We have lost 2 employees this year. We were down 40%. One employee went to Human Resources and the other went to Portchester. And we really had there was no stoppage of what we did for our residents and what we needed to do, the bills we had to pay and everything we needed to do. We just all chipped in and worked extra to make up that 40%. And we do have 2 temporary employees now working with us, and they're actually working out very well. I'm not going to go through all of this. This is a very large presentation. As you can see, we have our key functions. We, in addition to receiving taxes, the clerk takes minutes for all board and commission meetings. Well, mostly the board of trustees, but we're secretary to all boards and commissions. We support the population of 19,000. We, Laura, if you want to talk about the treasurer side, and then I'll come back and talk about the clerk duties. Sure.
Okay, so we can go. Okay, so financial accounting obviously is one of the main parts. We maintain our general ledger, which keeps track of all our expenses, obviously, and all our revenues. We do financial analysis, and now we do it monthly for the board. We give it to you at the second meeting of every month, which contains balance sheets, income statements, obviously all expenses and revenues, as well as a cash flow projection and a yearly projection as well to the end of the year. What else we got? Okay, our treasury functions are our cash receipts. Obviously, taxes is one of the main ones in June and December. We also take parking permits, anything else for cash. All the other departments that collect cash, all their deposits come through us, and we reconcile them. We make sure they're posted and do all the bank recs for every single one of those accounts. So even though they're collected there, we reconcile and make sure all the receipts balance and are there. And we make sure that all the receipts are timely. One of the things required by the auditors is that all deposits, any cash or payments received, have to be deposited within 3 days, and we're very diligent on maintaining that. Bank reconciliations, as I said, the cash flow. We also maintain our debt service for not only us. Obviously, we maintain the libraries, and we make sure those are paid on time. And then we also file the New York State Navigation Law Grant every year. So we get that every year. It usually comes in. We file it by the end of the year. We get it in around August. We make sure we're compliant with New York State. Obviously, we have an annual audit, which we do every year. We make sure that that audit is presented to our manager, and of course, the auditors come in around the end of the year and present it to
Every member of the board of trustees gets a copy,
Yes.
and the auditor stands here and, gives a thorough and long presentation for usually about 45 minutes.
Yes, that's mandatory in our department, that not only obviously do we see it, but it's presented to the manager, and obviously they come in personally. and present it to
Everybody.
you.
And then it's also back up on our agenda, so the public has it too.
Right.
Duly
Oh, and
noted.
they're all filed, they're also online, going back years.
10 years,
Yeah, at
maybe.
least. So every single one of our annual audits is online to view, along with all our budgets.
And as a credit to your department, we always have excellent audit reports.
Thank you. Yes. Credit to the clerk treasurer. Every year, okay, so we do, and every year as part of our compliance, we file our 1099s with the government for any vendor that we pay over $600. That's not a corporation. We follow those. We are the tax receiver for the village. We collect taxes twice a year on over 5,000 parcels. We've worked hard to try and get the online payment system. It's been working pretty smoothly. We have a good company now. We take ACH and credit card, and those seem to be increasing every year. So people are taking advantage of that. We also let people, we have a lockbox with our bank, which is the majority of the payments. People pay by check. And then they're also welcome to come to the office. You still have your people that want to come in, either pay cash or check, come say hello. We have our regulars that just want to come in and, you know, get a receipt and walk out, but unfortunately, not everybody pays, so we do our due diligence to try and let everybody know who's not paid. But for those, we actually sell the liens at the end of the year. What else? And obviously with all the taxes, we work closely with both town assessors, because we fall under the two towns. So we get all our our assessment files from both towns. Oh, this just shows how our online tax payments have increased over the years. What we do on accounts payable, it stays pretty much the same. It shows how many checks and vouchers we do. You want to do a law permits? Okay.
So on the clerk side of things, we take care of all permits and licenses, and we have alarm permits that go out in August, and this is just the number of alarm permits we've had for the last 5 years. Our parking permits, and you'll see that there was, there was quite a drop, I guess, with COVID in 20 and 21. And now it's coming up, and the 820 number for this fiscal year, that's just year to date. And so we just started selling our railroad in March. We just started selling our residential hang tags in April. So that number will go up. That's just year to date. And then the next page is the revenue generated from our parking permits. And you'll see, I think it's because of COVID and people, we've lost a lot of railroad.
And a lot of people didn't go back to the office after
Right.
COVID.
Right, and that's what they're not commuting into the city. If you go by the train station lot, it's.
Get a parking space now.
Quarter full.
Empty, yeah. But we will see an increase next year because our commercial GPs for any commercial vehicles. As you know, on Monday night, you raised that to $2,400 a year from $1,100 for a vehicle. You have a truck, you have a commercial vehicle and you want to park 24 hours a day, it's not $2,400 a year. So that will have the revenue go up for our parking permits.
Which is only 200 a month still. I mean,
Right, and it's less than any of the other parking permits, the parking lots around the village that offer, because some people have private parking lots and they offer parking and they charge people for parking. And those are about $300 or $400 a month. And ours is 200, so it's still, a good deal. In 2019, we started collecting hotel tax revenue. So that this is the revenue that we've collected over the last few years, and that goes up every year. We have our foils. We have the last 5 years, the number of foils that we do every year. It's gone from 582 in 2019 to 945 in 2022. Yes, ma'am.
When I was at the town of Mamaroneck, I asked Christina Battaglia what the number of foils she gets. She said, "Oh my God, it's crazy. We must get 35 or 40 a year."
And so far, we're already at 2023 up to 716.
That's 90% of them come from one person.
Is that?
No, I'm serious. It's 90% come from one person.
No.
It's
It's fiscal year. So that's from
22.
June to June. So that's 716.
Oh.
Yeah, it was added.
Oh, but we're
As of
about to catch up.
yesterday.
He still has time to break the record.
Well, we don't want to feel that.
I mean, it takes a lot of time, but, and we do our best to get them done
I
in
know
a
you do.
timely manner. Then we have our other permits and licenses that we do, dogs. Dogs went down. It's interesting. And I don't know if it has to do with, well, no, they were around the same around COVID. But I think with the new dog park, that this will go up significantly.
I agree.
So, and then we just have a few peddlers.
That's right, Bark Park.
Oh, Bark Park. We have a few peddlers, they're mostly ice cream men. We do get calls from food trucks, but because of the way our code is written, you have to move every 10 minutes. You can never stop on Mamaroneck Avenue or Boston Post Road. It's not conducive for a food truck. So people call, but they don't want to do it.
But it's-
Wow,
oh,
that's.
okay, good.
Go ahead, because I'm not even my
So
words. and
But sometimes we have Park.
Yes,
Is that a
that's different.
Yeah.
We're hosting that.
That's different.
But if somebody wanted to have it, I mean, can't really necessarily see. If somebody wanted to put up shop on Boston Post Road, like, we just don't have the laws to support that.
Yeah, cannot, no, the only way they could do it is in a private parking lot. And then that person or that business would have to go to the planning board and have their site plan adjusted.
Do you know how much we could get from that?
Additional,
Yeah,
it's $300 a year, which is very low. It's probably something we want to look at.
Yeah.
We can raise that, right, Dan, with this list?
Well, I mean, I think the board, it would be part of the fees and charges schedule. Just, I mean, the law, the current law is a vestige of the time it was adopted when, you know, in the sixties, seventies, it was ice cream trucks. It wasn't,
right.
you didn't have, you know, food trucks were not really a thing, except for maybe the little chuck wagon that.
Yeah, but they've been.
Go from
popular in the last,
construction.
like, what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
You
they
get pushback
do-
from the restaurants.
If they do want to participate down at the harbor for special events, they have to get a peddler's license from me.
Mhm.
They weren't doing that several years ago, but now they have to get a peddler's license in addition to their insurance and their bond and everything else.
What if somebody wants to have a food truck in their driveway?
That's
their own-
private
for
property.
private,
do
so you can
that.
just-
Yeah,
you can-
we
it's
don't
I mean,
do
that- if it's a commercial vehicle, the provisions of the zoning code would,
I'm just thinking, if you're having a party, you can.
oh, okay.
Right, like you have the Walters truck coming into your driveway, yeah.
So like when people come for St. Vito's, each person who vends there that's a peddler's fee or what is
What at St. Vito's, we haven't
like
done,
the festival?
we haven't done the fest in years, no.
Not St. Vito's, you know what, I'm sorry, and I'm pointing at the harbor. But I'm remembering how we used to have 2 festivals in the beginning of summer, but
You mean for the firemen's
yes,
carnival?
thank you.
No, that's different. No, the firemen handle that. They don't have to get any kind of license for the clerk's office for that. They just pay, I think they pay the fire department. That's part of their fundraising.
Okay,
Yeah, they keep that money. But the food trucks do.
Yeah.
They need to have.
Is there a means of allowing them, you know, where you would get a permit to come for a limited number of days where it's not, or is it like you get it and you can come all or nothing?
So it couldn't be a seasonal kind of thing, what
No,
we
it's
say,
only $300 a year.
yeah,
You know, it's
Yeah.
not, you sell, I don't know.
Stay up
20
for more than 10 minutes.
yeah, so it's kind of like.
Right, I mean, but if they're gonna do the harbor, whatever we do down at the harbor, we have the LMC. Those nights,
Tiki party.
yeah, the
Yeah.
tiki party. They make $300 in 30 minutes, so it's worth it for them to get a peddler's permit to do those types of things.
And if a group has like a neighborhood has a block party, are they allowed, if they shut down the street, can they have a food truck on the block?
No, not without having a permit, because it's on village property, the street is village property.
Okay.
I've never had anyone do that, though. Never had
Yeah,
anyone-
and all of my block party permits, they typically have their own, they don't ask for something like that. They have their own barbecue.
Barbecue.
I tried out today, so I told them as long as they have peddlers permit. So,
They would have to have a peddler's
but
permit.
I didn't realize that they have to park in the driveway. So,
No, they can park on the street if they have a peddler's permit, but the code, I mean, I don't think the police officers left, but I don't think they would bother them if they parked on a street for 30 minutes during a block party. I don't know how.
I don't think it's a
how much they
high
enforce
priority.
That 10-minute thing.
I don't think it's a high
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah, and where does that 10-minute thing come from? I mean,
Well, again, I think it was,
Steam trucks to keep on moving and they don't need to
yeah,
stop.
it's a vestige of when it was adopted, which was, yeah, in the 60s and 70s. Yeah, there were no food trucks, there
So
were
we
ice cream
probably-
trucks.
to address the
We should-
question of food trucks at some point.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Don't take that.
And it might be fun
Note
to
to
do
self.
like food truck nights.
Yeah, I
at the
just think.
harbor,
Yeah, I mean, that's-
Especially during the nice weather. It would
I
just
know
be
the
nice.
town of Mamaroneck has a very nice.
All right, there's a lot to go on. Let's get off the food. I get ready to get 3 other.
I was getting hungry.
Are you hungry?
Wait to do this.
Thirsty, hungry?
Yes, I am hungry. I'm about an hour past it.
We do about 10 dancing cabaret
Talking about
licenses.
food
Those are
trucks,
at
I'm
the,
killing me.
Those are the private clubs, the dancing cabaret permits. Those are Beach Point and those kinds of clubs.
Okay.
And games of chance, we do very few of those, mostly they're fire department things. And then we are secretary to all boards and committees. As you know, I do the board of trustee minutes and Elena prepares the traffic commission agenda. And we take care of all that good stuff. I'm also the secretary to the board of ethics. So yearly, I have to do the disclosure forms, keep track of the disclosure forms, and then anything that's brought before the board of ethics, I just keep their files for that. The website, I work with our wonderful public information officer, Robert Ingenito, on the website, and I thank God for him every day. We are the registrar of vital statistics for death and birth certificates. We had a live birth certificate come in today.
Wow.
I think it's the 5th one I've done in 15 years. Yeah, it was a home birth. It was their 2nd home birth in a few years, the Murphy family.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another Murphy family.
It took us long enough to use the hospital, so now we're going back.
Not your Murphy. But we get a lot of death, as you can imagine, because Sarah Newman is in the village of Mamaroneck. So we have to do the burial permits. But it's now all online, which is good. We could do them from home over the weekend. We used to have to come in, or we would leave burials at the police department certificates. And we would do it that way. And we have records management. Our records management person just retired. As you guys know, Victor Malinowski retired. And Amiri is gonna be doing our records management. In addition to his duties with the manager, and he's been trained with Victor over the last few days, and we'll continue to do that. And so in addition to the 1,900 boxes we have down at Halsted Avenue, and about 60–70%, Augie, of them have been scanned. And we'll have to continue scanning those, and if someone needs a record, Mary will go down and get the record form. We use the state archive software to keep track of every record that we have down there. We know what shelf, what position on the shelf, what row every document is down there. And the management information systems, and that's fun.
All right. Management information systems as essentially the IT department. So if it plugs into the wall, it ends up, I end up getting asked about it. We work with, what is it? All the computer hardware, all the computer software in the village, the Avaya IP Office system, which is our phone system that we put into production circa 2019. Recently, we just implemented a new door lock system and / alarm system, which is almost completed, that the board recently approved. And we are the purchasing agent for all the tech throughout the village. So for mobile devices, peripherals, computers, anything that is, again, that plugs in that someone needs, typically we'll be reviewing what the request is and trying to determine what the best solution would be with regards to the equipment that would be necessary to achieve those goals. I guess we're going through some of our accomplishments for IT. We recently expanded the department. I would say since fall of 2015, it was just myself. And then shortly after that, about a year or two, we got Joe Marcelli, who works in the police department. So he's kind of like a hybrid employee, like where he is full-time in the police department, but he's also working directly with me on many projects. And then recently we hired Eddie Sirocco, who's our part-timer in the IT department, who's actually here tonight. So I'll give him a second to talk since he graciously accepted the invite to the meeting tonight. He's been, well, the door lock system, I actually delegated that project to him. So while I've been overseeing it, he's been actually doing the day-to-day work on that.
Hi guys, I'm Eddie, for those of you that don't know. I don't know, Cliff announced me like I was a new baby in the family. Yeah, I oversaw the new access system install, which encompasses 3 of the buildings and allows us to monitor, who goes in and out, who stables the alarms, et cetera.
What are the 3 buildings? The 123?
123, the Pavilion, and Harbor Map. I believe I still have to give everybody but Mayor Tom a fob to the doors. We're still configuring most of them. There's some wrinkles we need to iron out, but I'd say it's about 95% complete.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Continuing with accomplishments, kind of a neat project that we had worked on this past year was an upgrade to one of our systems. You can kind of become alphabet soup when you're talking about like IT acronyms. So we have something called a PTMP, ISP style access point that we installed. In layman's terms, we got a really big antenna and we aimed it at the Marine Ed Center as well as the parking booth so that we could get more bandwidth for network traffic for our camera system, so that we could also give internet connectivity to the Marine Ed Center, so that they could play their videos and they could access the internet and do what they need to do. And the reason why I'm highlighting that particular project is because one solution would have been to have an ISP come in, dig out a trench, run a line from Boston Post Road to those buildings, and then we pay a monthly internet service fee. As opposed to doing that, which would have been pretty expensive, 5 figures, easy. In cost, we spent under $3,000 on antennas and piggybacked off of our internet connection at the Rec Pavilion. And when you're in those locations, you wouldn't know the difference. Everything just works. So there are benefits to doing things like that, like cost savings, but they also present problems because then people think that you can do anything. So I've been presented in situations where there's only a plug available and people are like, oh, well, can we get internet here? And it's like, well, there's only power. So anyway, going on with that or continuing along. Recently, one of our accomplishments, we kind of overhauled IT items in the building department with regards to moving employees around over the past year, because we had the building department down at 123 Mamaroneck Avenue. We moved them back up. We seem to be playing musical desks quite a lot, quite frequently. We also set up a new camera system in the building department. So that's also something that I think is worth highlighting, that we kind of brought the camera installations in-house, except for the recent one that was on the avenue, which I believe we got grant money or something, and the police department was involved with that one. But the reason why we didn't do that one is because that would have required equipment such as like bucket trucks, and not that we don't have that, but that equipment is DPW's equipment allocated for different purposes. And there are other logistical reasons for that, but doing the camera installations in-house, what's nice is, as we've been doing that over the years, we have a single unified system. We have the same software across the board. So it's not the sort of thing where you're dealing with multiple user interfaces. When people need to retrieve footage, it's uniform. It's easy to get because the instructions remain the same across the board. Also, it significantly brings the cost down when we do it in-house. We're able to do a job for under $10,000 that if we went out to a vendor, we've got quotes in the past that could be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. We have a camera system in the Regatta that's 18 cameras. We've got the Rec Pavilion wired up with cameras. That's another 17 cameras. And the system we just put in the building department, I believe, is about 6 or 7, 8 cameras. Another thing that we've been doing recently, during COVID, we kind of cut our spending, or we reduced our spending significantly. So one of the ways to kind of save money was we decided we were going to stretch the life of our infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I mean more so end users, workstations and computers. The reason being is that the devices we determined they would still work even if we stretched the life of them. They might not be the latest and greatest, but that was one way that we were able to kind of cut our budget down in the past 2 years. But now we're at a point that we have systems aging out and we kind of have to do the upgrades that we held off on. So our normal 20% refresh rate of all workstations and end user setups that we would do per year, which meant a 5-year cycle. So if you got a new computer, you could expect to get another one, like a newer or a replacement within 5 years. We're doing probably maybe like 40 or 50% of an overhaul this year. Then, so we have been working on that. That's ongoing right now. The police department, they already mentioned it as one of their accomplishments, but it kind of was hand in hand with IT, and Joe has been working diligently on the body camera implementation. There's a lot of tech that goes behind that. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight. Otherwise, I would have let him speak a little bit about that. And then we've got the Municity 5 software migration for the building department, which is ongoing, and we're about 90% complete with that. I believe we should be able to go live in June, and that's been a long time coming. We've had some other software that we tried to implement in the past, and then we ended up coming back to Municity, and now we're working on that upgrade. So that'll be nice once that is live. I believe the building department is actually going through training, and Eddie's been sitting in on that and assisting a lot with that. And let's see, for future goals for IT. We have a lot of internal systems. We brought a lot of stuff in-house. One of those things is an in-house ticketing system. We don't have to pay a monthly fee for any sort of service. And we want to kind of centralize how IT requests are coming in, because we all carry around all of our devices. We have cell phones, we have tablets, we have laptops. And problem that we have been running into is people are sending text messages, you get a phone call, and there are 20 ways to communicate, and it makes it difficult to centralize or to keep track of it all. So this is kind of a way to centralize how we get our requests, and we can get metrics on how we respond to them, and have a log of everything. And basically, like, we can go back to, like, if something's recurring, we now have a way to kind of see, oh, that's a recurring issue, just by going through the historical tickets that we get. We've been working on a plan, Joe, Eddie, and myself, on a way to kind of reduce the cost per end user for tech. So I'd mentioned we're doing a lot of desktop upgrades. One of the things that we're kind of testing out right now is an employee, they might be issued a desktop, a cell phone, a tablet, and a laptop. Well, what we've been doing is for a few employees now, we've tested out a solution where you put a docking station with your monitors and your peripheral devices, and then instead of issuing a desktop and a laptop so that, say, an employee can work remotely or wherever, we're just issuing a laptop now. So the docking station allows you to have that feel like you have a desktop, like you're coming to your office, you're sitting down at your normal desk, but the laptop gives you that portability. So you plug your laptop into the docking station, put it to the side, work as if you're on a normal desktop. The idea, I say that would reduce costs, because now we're not issuing a desktop and a laptop. We're issuing one solution as opposed to like 4 or 5 solutions to accomplish the same goal.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's a future goal. We'd like to roll that out for everyone, but I don't know if it'll work for everyone, but we're testing it. Another future goal would be like exploring VDI use cases. So again, I said like alphabet soup. VDI is virtual desktop infrastructure. So instead of issuing, like, say an employee doesn't necessarily need a piece of hardware, you can get what's called a thin client for under $100. You set it up at this same sort of setup with a docking station, and you have a virtualized server, or not server, but virtualized desktop that's set up. So that's, I only bring that up because that significantly reduces costs per user. So maybe like a part-timer, they wouldn't need to, they wouldn't have the need for like a laptop or something like that. So we could issue like a virtualized system. Again, future goal, we're looking into it. Consolidation of physical infrastructure, that is a goal where we've been going down the path of virtualizing a lot of our servers. So instead of buying 5 or 6 servers and, okay, this is an application server for this is an application server for that, we've been buying more robust servers that can host multiple virtualized systems. And that reduces costs. It gives us more flexibility with regards to troubleshooting. And there are a lot of benefits to it. I could speak, I could go into a lot of detail, and I kind of ramble, but Let's
What I
see.
say.
Upgrade, I guess the final goal is upgrading network infrastructure. One of the biggest things, or rather the oldest things that we have in production are our network switches. Earlier this year, I did a review of that and some of them date back to like 2006. So we are,
That's old.
yeah, I mean, they're workhorses, they're up and running, they're okay, but we're looking into replacing that in the near future. The reason why I say the near future and not immediately now is because there's still kind of like supply chain shortages with silicon and tech equipment. So there's, I think, a 6-month wait on buying that specific equipment, but that's it for IT.
Thank
Good.
you.
Before you wrap it up, can you just explain to the board how we back up all our information?
Oh, I'll be as brief as possible. So we have software called Veeam that backs up to network storage. Network storage is a specific server that acts as a big hard drive on your network. That's it. So your server backs up to that network storage and that happens nightly. That network storage offloads to Amazon Web Services where we use the Amazon Cloud storage space. It's called Amazon S3, where you have, I don't need to get into the technical like things of it, but basically,
No, I'm kidding.
so basically we offload to Amazon, and then in the event of it's a 3-2-1 approach. So we have 3 types of backups in 2 locations, with 1 being offsite. So basically in the case of a disaster, say like we had a flood or something like that, like
What about ransomware?
yeah, say in the case of ransomware, say we lost our servers in-house. The first approach would be to restore from our on-site backup, our network storage. So most likely ransomware, it would attack a certain operating system. Our in-house storage runs on a different kind of operating system that usually the 2 wouldn't both be affected, but let's say they both were affected. Now we would have to rely on our offsite backup, which we would go to Amazon, we would pull a download, and then we would apply the backup files to a rebuilt server of what our backup software is, and then from there we would deploy the backups to our physical servers to rebuild it. And there's there would be a time lag there too. It might take like a day or 2.
I'm glad we have a plan to deal with that. Thank you very much for your great presentation and for. Yeah, I've been here now 5 years and I've watched you kind of work your magic and thank you for everything you do.
You're welcome.
There are other goals, oh, sorry. There are other goals and accomplishments on the back sheet, you could look at this.
Oh, you can tell us. Good time to shine.
All of our Board of Trustee old minutes were converted into Laserfish shape. And our Laserfish is now on the cloud. So I don't really understand what that means, but it's much faster and there are more documents there. So I'm gonna let Laura talk about hers. No lapse in customer service with 40% less staff. Yeah, that's really it for me.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the most important things, or one of the most exciting things for us is we won a budget award through GFOA, which, thank you. Augie put a lot of work into the budget this year, and it was well deserved. Really, a much nicer document. And on continuing with the budget, we've also began to print it in-house, which saves us a lot of money. So we've got that down pat now, and we print all the budgets in-house now, where we used to send it out, both the tentative and the adopted. So now that's all done, and so we can print them. If we don't print enough in the beginning, we can print it, we have it all set up. One of the things we do want to do, and it's got kind of put on the back burner now that we're a little short on staff, but hopefully we can get it done, is we want to start electronic bill pay for a lot of our vendors.
Right.
So, that'll help cut costs too without issuing checks and postage. And so we're gonna start that first with our Medicare reimbursement employees and retirees, and we'll start that. So hopefully we'll get that, shoot maybe for the end of the summer after our year end is done. So That's about it.
Thank
Anybody
you
wants to
very
add
much.
Anything?
Or is there anything you want to point out in the budget?
No, the only one thing is a lot of our savings that we're having this year is mostly attributed to the contract Jerry negotiated. So we're taking advantage of the new salary range, and that's where we're getting our savings. That is all.
In this juncture, you should be saying the contract that the Board of Trustees voted on. and approved.
That is correct. I stand corrected.
Thank you, Augie. Thank you all.
Everyone, it was great.
For everything you've done. You're a pleasure to work with all of you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, the next up is the human resources.
I have a question.
I have one very practical question. I don't have a fob and I'm letting the Arts Council in at 7:30. Will that be a problem?
You have a key?
No, your key still works.
Keys to work. Yeah, I mean, and I don't have
We're
to.
Still on the.
And the button's still on.
Okay, just.
When can I pick up a fob? I don't have a fob.
Yeah, I need my.
You didn't know it and you were-
Okay.
Oh, and you were
let's
there.
do the-
You can also get your phone to work.
Oh,
There's an
that's
app
even
as well.
better. That's.
Get a whole piece of paper with the file, it'll give you the one.
Oh, that's perfect. I can get the use fob. Look at this. We're really lighting up.
Very- Made it to the 21st century.
And the key.
And the key, and the combo.
Well, that's fine. He was getting ready to-
Police.
Okay.
25 years of that.
I've only got enough.
Thank you.
Get the other.
Right, everyone.
Good night.
This is what they call the meat and
Potatoes.
Good night.
The other one is. Sad, because, but I can't.
What you got over there, Laura?
Okay.
A candy?
I know.
Danielle, thank you for showing up tonight. And I'd love to hear about your budget presentation.
Sure.
We have it up and ready to go?
I think all we have, just, we just have the actual budget. Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, my PowerPoint.
you don't have your PowerPoint. You can email it to us.
Pretty, it's very pretty, so I don't know why.
Hey,
Oh, Dan.
Come on, Daniel.
Danielle.
who's not here anymore? That's who you blame. Whoever just left, that's who you blame. It's like, well, that's the person who gets appointed to the committee is the person who isn't at the meeting.
Mayor, we can go if we need to. I'm ready.
Well,
You want me to hold them up? I can do that.
Danielle's ready to go here. We're almost there, right then?
Yeah, I'm just about to log in to my email.
Who's Miss Susan? Okay, and who's Miss Maria? Okay, I just want to know my face. I don't think I really like seen y'all, have I?
Might have seen Susan.
Can you
Okay, sorry.
just email us when you get a chance, Danielle?
Yeah, it just went.
Okay.
Or he can email it.
Okay.
Get it?
Not yet, but
Look at God.
That's why I said it's over for you.
What I'm playing with Easter?
This Easter.
Man is so good.
I sent it.
How we doing?
Would you have? one
I
for you?
don't have the presentation just yet.
Well, let's.
All right, you know what? Danielle, I'm sorry.
It's okay, I can do whatever.
The other day.
It's fine.
Thank you.
We
appreciate it.
have it in front of us, Danielle.
No problem.
I do love this.
So, the one, I wanted to introduce my staff, that's here with me, so.
Sorry, I introduced him.
I know. So, so for me,
considered the HR director for the Village of Mamaroneck. I've been with the village, it's almost 5 years, not quite 5 years yet, almost 5 years in June. And I started off in the village manager's office. Oh, sorry. So, the HR department was started about 4 years ago. And it was always me and Maria, who Maria is now currently the senior account clerk. She serves as our benefits administrator. She's been employed with the village for over 27 years. And she's worked in the assessor's office, the clerk treasurer's office, and the HR department as the benefits administrator and payroll administrator. Ms. DeFiore retired last year but stayed on as our part-time employee to perform the benefits administration for the village. I currently also have Tamika Wells, who is considered the bookkeeper but serves as the payroll administrator. She's been employed with the village for 9 years. She worked in the clerk treasurer's office, and now she's in my department as of October, November-ish. So my staff has increased from me and Maria as of 6 months ago. Now me and Maria, Tamika, and Susan. Susan is our intermediate clerk who takes care of all the administrators of paperwork and filing in my office. And she's been employed with the HR department for six months now. Yeah. The role of the HR department was formed in August 2019 because of a need to centralize all of the HR functions and paperwork that is needed to comply with civil service, local, state, and federal laws. The HR department is responsible for keeping the employees and the residents safe, as well as protect the village from any unforeseen liability. The HR department is mainly responsible. There's about 6 areas, and I try my best to kind of put everything into those areas. And I had Maria review it with me because it's always been me and her running the department. And she said after I did the list, she still feels that we're missing things, believe it or not. So the first section is a selection and retention, which involves interviewing, onboarding. We request canvases from the County of Westchester HR department to fill a village vacancies if it's a list appointment. The next section is training and development. So we do training, guidance, and advice and support to our staff. We do corrective action and discipline. There's career and educational advancement. And I kind of monitor the probation task or check in with our new hires. We check in about 6 months to see how they're doing, where the probation can go up to 52 weeks. We are responsible for compliance, which includes records maintenance. We track and process unemployment claims, including identifying fraudulent claims, which was a good thing in 2020, 2021. So we had a lot of, I think it was over 30 fraudulent claims that we flagged, including existing employees. So we had to stay on top of that and be vigilant about that. We do verification of employment. We ensure that our records reflect the same information as the County of Westchester HR department. They are the civil service record keeper, so they constantly are doing various checks to make sure that we're not hiring someone that we're not supposed to, and that our people aren't being treated unfairly. We track attendance. We enforce. There's enforcement of the union contracts. So we have 2 union contracts, the CSCA and the PBA. So we're responsible to making sure that we pay people properly, that we provide the benefits in a timely fashion, and we're available to those representative members. There is tracking of important deadlines for filings, postings, and compliance. We just finished the OSHA and PESH filing, which is done annually and has to be completed by a certain time and posted up in all job sites for 2 months and then taken down. And those records have to be maintained for a number of years just in case the department later decided to show up at our door. We've been tracking out injuries. I update policies, I'll run reports, that's all under the compliance. And then I have compensation and employee benefits, which includes payroll administration, benefits administration. We process disability claims, we process workers' comp claims. I look to see what type of leaves a person is entitled to, whether it's an FMLA or not FMLA. Maria and I have really worked hard on retirement planning. So now we have some systems in place to help our employees make a sound decision about retiring and if it's the right thing for them. We do notification to our employees of various open enrollment periods and deadlines such as collectible spending, AFLAC, and additional life insurance. We do notification of benefits during retiree is eligible for the Medicare Part B eligibility. I'm involved in the union contract negotiations, and I am keeping an eye on deadlines for contractual benefits. The next section that we're responsible for is workplace safety. So all of my new hires, whether part-time or full-time now, are all getting a card in their new hire package that has the EAP referral services. So everyone has that information that's available to them, and they can reach out to EAP to avail themselves of their services. I'm also involved in their investigations, which is also part of safety, to see what's going on and if it's impacting the employee or the workplace. And we're responsible for the health and safety of 20 to 30 part-time and full-time employees, depending upon the time of year, because we do have them under seasonal hires.
200 to 300.
Yeah.
I said 200 to 300.
You said 20 to 30.
Oh, sorry.
You
dropped the zeros.
You underestimated.
200 to 300. Thank you. The last category I put was the human element. So we have established relationships with the human, which is big because they're comfortable with coming to me. They're comfortable with asking questions, and sometimes they're comfortable with running scenarios with me to see how their membership would embrace certain ideas. So we all work together. So we all understand we have our prospective roles we'll have to play, but we respect that we all want the end goal, which is to have the best option for our employees. So I have developed a trusted relationship with the employees and the public, and we are genuinely care for the health, safety, and well-being for our employees. So I wanted to talk about my accomplishments, or the department's accomplishments. So there, like I said, there is actually now a presentation folder for new hires, and it can also be used for other village business. We're going to be doing compliance training starting on Friday, and then another one on Monday. I usually hand out the policies that we're training about. I decided I'm going to give everyone a presentation folder so they can at least maybe put those items in there. And it's just another representation of the things that we're doing. We've had, with starting this department, we've had different auditors, we've had different consultants tell us what we should be doing. One of the big things was transparency about the wages and what employees are being paid, not just those employees that are coming on board who get their offer letters. It's the existing employees. When we have our annual raises, most of our employees didn't know what they were earning. So now I'm doing wage statements. So every new hire is receiving a wage statement, as well as anytime there's a salary change, we're rolling out wage statements to those employees, and they have to sign off on it. June, July was the first time that we did it. So Jerry took it upon himself to meet with every single employee to hand out the wage statement, explain it, and there's a signed copy in everybody's file. We started, meaning me and Maria, we started looking at other opportunities, especially for our retirees. It's really an untapped market. So we sent out investment options for our retirees, maybe where they can maybe grow their pensions, so to speak, or their fixed income. So we partnered with a company, no pressure. We sent out flyers just saying if you are interested in some personal investment options, you are more than welcome to reach out to this particular contact that we partnered with and that we co-signed on. We started training, I started training new department heads on how to conduct interviews. It was very challenging in the beginning because most of my openings are DPW and parks, and when you're from that environment, kind of bring that environment into the interview setting. So there was a lot of inappropriate questions or gestures or facial expressions. But I worked with the new department head to explain to them why certain questions can and cannot be asked. We now do a list of questions ahead of time, and then follow-up questions kind of lead into that. So our department heads have gotten so comfortable with interviewing now. They now hear how they want to grow their department, the type of leadership that they're bringing to the village, and it actually makes the candidates feel a little bit more comfortable about our hiring process. I do have an open door policy. If anyone is free at any time to come in, knock on my door, close the door and have a discussion. We created a trusted and established relationship with our staff. I put the face of the village. A number of candidates that I had interviewed and hired admitted that they came to the village because of meeting me in the interview, and they appreciated my honesty and transparency that I showed. I always say that I consistently say that I treat everyone the same, whether you are the village manager, mayor or board, a union member. I'm going to give you the honest truth. I'll just find a nicer way to say it depending upon my audience. But I'm gonna, are you okay to me? Okay.
I like the honesty in your honesty.
Yes, yes. So I do that same thing during my interviews. I'm very honest, I'm transparent. I will be tough when I have to, but you know where I stand, and I'm consistently the same. I have the established relationships with all department heads, and we're truly co-workers, and I feel like I'm a member of all the departments. So I can go to, oh, and Susan, we went and did site visits, and she was surprised at how well received I was. And it was as if I was coming in at 9 o'clock to their work site as if nothing ever happened. Oh, Danielle, I'm so happy you're here. And we were talking about whatever things you would talk about at the water cooler. That was in every single department. The goals that I have for our department, I'm looking to have first aid cabinets and AED devices in every village department with the appropriate training. We do have a device in our location. It's out of date and it concerns me.
We should actually have one in this room.
Right, but
Yeah.
we probably should check to make sure it's compliant, it's up to date, the pads are up to date, because I don't know it's been a crash course with me taking on this project because I have started it. And it's alarming how, yes, we may have the device, but if it's not serviced every year, just even simply replacing the pads which expire because of non-use, you can put ourselves into a bit of trouble. So even just the thought of, do I hire a company to, once I have these AED devices in place, should I hire a company that's responsible to come out every year to make sure the pads are up to date, that the software is working, to test the devices? Because we're not using these devices. We're not testing these devices all the time, and we would hope they're working when we need them, and we won't know that.
The new ones I've seen, when you open up the kit, it literally talks you through every step of what you have.
Yes, and I've seen that. The one thing, as an aside, the rec department is up to date with their AEDs. The one thing that totally eluded me was that, you know, the pads that are attached to the patient, when EMS comes, you have to disconnect your device from that person. You don't want to disconnect the pads that's not compatible with EMS. So you want to be sure that fine detail is, are the pads that we're getting for this device that talks is compatible with EMS for the village that would come to take this person. Because if not, you got to take off the pads, put on their pad. We're losing time.
Right.
You know, so there's
Good point.
So that's one thing I would like to do. I am still looking at other items to introduce to the village. So I'll meet or have a call with the vendor just so they can provide some useful information to me. A 15 to 30-minute phone call develops a relationship to a possible benefit that we could use down the road. I'm looking to roll out more training, like I said, such as the first aid and CPR, if possible. I think training should just be a little bit past, you know, what we're required to do. but what would be more practical. Just like we did the new hire folders, I'm looking to do a retiree folder, but there's a lot of information and I think it should be handy, just like it is for my new hires now. By the beginning of the upcoming fiscal year, everyone will be using the time clock for attendance recording. It was
COVID, right?
Yes, yeah, so initially our time clocks were supposed to be a finger scan. And just when I was ready to, the same day that I was ready to say, okay, let's start scanning in, COVID hit and we had to take out the finger scanner and put a cover in and get punch cards. So we're at the point where we're gonna roll it out to the rest of the village. It's just been the administrative staff that's been doing it. And even that was distributed yesterday when we went to the site. Everyone, all the departments have it. Whenever they're ready to introduce it to their staff, which is union people, there's gonna be some pushback, but they can get that out of their systems in about a month. So by June 1st, everyone will be on the clock. And finally, I'm gonna finalize the employee handbook. I'm going back and forth with my consultant, I'm going back and forth with legal, just because things change all the time with compliance. So I am working on that right now. So those are the moments. Even though we do not generate revenue for the village, what the Human Resources Department contributes to the village is much more valuable. We produce and develop happier employees that enjoy coming to work, knowing they have a trusted resource to turn to in their time of need. The Human Resources Department was created for a reason, and we will continue to grow, thrive, and flourish for the employees and residents of the village. So thank you for your time, and does anyone have any questions?
I do not.
You started with the village 5 years ago, but you become the head of human resources for like 3 years, right?
So I started as the secretary to the village manager June of 2018, and I started the department August 2019.
You really done a great job. For those who don't know, before Danielle, each department had kind of muddled through with their own HR. It was not evenly, kind of brought out. And they're not HR people, right? The head of DPW, the head of record. So you've taken a large burden off of our department heads. And as far as I can see, you've done an excellent job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you in HR.
Thank you.
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
So we have to wrap up before the planning board starts. Let's get right to the main event tonight, which is the village manager's office.
Meeting. Or something.
We're there. Thank you, folks. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Jerry, are you presenting?
Yeah, I'll present.
I didn't get that. Did you?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah. So the work session?
No, I don't
No,
think-
nobody got that.
That's what we're gonna-
No, I think you sent it to the,
Mayor, I'll be doing the PowerPoint presentation, Mr.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Doing the budget.
Whenever you're ready.
So first, I'd like to introduce staff that's there this evening. We have Deputy Village Manager Dan Sarnoff, Secretary to the Village Manager Courtney Wong, Legal and now Records Office Assistant Neri Rubinales, and our Public Information Officer Robert Ingenito and his lovely young daughter.
She went home.
You can minimize the faces so that we can see.
So I got, what was it?
Can you
Minimize the
faces so we can see the rest of the screen?
Can you see my presentation or?
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
So the village manager's office responsibilities is to, first and foremost, to support the Board of Trustees and execute their directives. We manage all departments in the village, as well as positively interact with all of our residents and our businesses. A big part of what we do is department restructuring. A lot of that is hand in hand with the HR department, as you can see. They have a lot of responsibilities and have grown their responsibilities over the last few years. We are the emergency management administrators for the village. We provide budget oversight and follow procurement policy, or make sure everyone follows procurement policy. The village manager is the appointing authority who works very close with HR. We lead contract negotiations. We handle public information and event coordination. We manage large projects and work closely with village consultants, such as the Hillside Avenue Bridge. I do want to add that Mr. Sarnoff, just recently, we were told that we are going to be probably $265,000 under budget on the Hillside Avenue Bridge. So that is a tremendous accomplishment, especially since that bridge was starting pretty much the day that we got hit with Ida. And of course, as many of you know from my the few emails that I send every once in a while, grant administration, organizational planning, and we handle FEMA. As far as public information, our public information officer, as well as supported by our staff, handles all committee communications and marketing. He sends out approximately, he sends out a weekly communication that hits about 3,000 subscribers in various forms, about 1,600 email, 750 text messages, and then about 650 of those hit social media. Our public information, Rob Ingenito, also is very instrumental when we're looking for information from the village. In fact, I think an excellent example, tremendous achievement, was at the Police Reform and Reinvention Committee. When we sent out the survey, we received 927 survey responses, which was phenomenal for that type of survey. We also recently achieved 851 people who completed the comp plan survey. So Robert doesn't necessarily work by himself. He works as a team. He's an amazing team player, and the reason why he was a Fulbright scholar. What we want to call this slide is taking care of our community. And the truth is, recently we've had to split up into two different aspects, or two different areas of focus. One of them is our flood management coordination team. We do this all together. Courtney, myself, and Dan. We set up meetings. As you know, we had recently a very successful meeting with the DEC and the DOS in New Paltz. The dam management consultant, we've been dealing with that with our help from Gino. Our dredging consultant management, I've been dealing with that for the dredging. We did have the threat of an order on consent from the DEC regarding the dam, but we've addressed that, and we are the lead department to handle the Save the Sound DEC consent order. In fact, just recently, we communicated with that office today, and they were very happy with our progress. I deal with the state office staff directly. Dan also is very familiar with them. Dan is extremely familiar with county administration, and I typically lean on him to deal with the county connections. And we are staff. We are the assigned staff for several committees. One thing I do want to point out is that we really took an initiative this year and moved forward with an outreach to our community. And I'm going to play a little video now of something we are very proud of. In fact, we've submitted to the ICMA, which is the International City Managers Association, as well as NICOM for an award this year. We presented this PSA to them, as well as some information. Hopefully we will be recognized. Let me see if I can play this.
Hola, mi nombre es Neri Rabanales. Yo trabajo.
I think, Jerry, you have to unshare.
Yo trabajo para la aldea de Mamaroneck y estoy aquí para ayudarles. Nuestros servicios es para todos los miembros de la comunidad de Mamaroneck. Estaremos ofreciendo servicios para los miembros hispanos de habla hispana de la comunidad para obtener la asistencia que necesitan y pueden entender. Comenzando enero 2023, el segundo miércoles de cada mes, el administrador de la aldea de Mamaroneck, Jerry Barbero, organizará su horario de oficina en español desde las 5 hasta las 7 de la noche. Durante estos horarios de oficina, ustedes van a tener la oportunidad de conocer y discutir con el administrador del pueblo de Mamaroneck. Reconocer la nueva ley que se adoptó en el condado de Westchester, la cual que se refiere al uso del formulario de declaración de historial de indemnizaciones para cada inquilino dentro de la comunidad. Contestar preocupaciones, recomendaciones y preguntas dentro de la comunidad. Comunicar el progreso del proyecto de Cuerpo de Ingenieros del Ejército de los Estados Unidos. Discutir el plan de acción para la recuperación del huracán Ida y examinar maneras de obtener ayuda si su casa sufrió daños durante el huracán Ida. Y también dar consejos sobre cómo prepararse para el próximo huracán o emergencia. Además, discutir problemas que sugieren como un inquilino en la comunidad. Finalmente, aprenda sobre su gobierno local y conozca las maneras de participar en la comunidad. Los esperamos en enero 2023, aquí en la oficina del alcalde.
Okay, so I believe that we couldn't see the video, but I believe that was our friend Neary explaining that the Village of Mamaroneck now has office hours for folks who English isn't a first language.
Yeah.
And that's been a very big success. And Neary, I thank you for doing that.
Yes.
And Jerry, I thank you for recognizing a section of the community that has been long overlooked.
They're very welcome, Mayor. And we do it once a month for 2 hours. And I look forward to it. I don't know if Neary does, I'm sure he does, but I look forward to it every month. Regarding disaster recovery management, just a few things that I want to point out to the board. There's a lot of numbers on this page, but the two things that I want to highlight is that with FEMA applications, when you're going after the disaster recovery, there is a little known item where they will pay for your regular budgeted items. They don't necessarily just focus on your out-of-pocket that you're putting aside either through fund balance or committing through a different account. But if you're using typical normal expenses out of your annual operating budget, they will reimburse you for those. That's something I learned probably 10 years ago in the age of Superstorm Sandy. And so for that, we've assigned Courtney Wong, who has been very instrumental in filling out all of the applications and having the patience of a saint to deal with FEMA and the state, because both of them are interested agencies to make sure that we are submitting the paperwork correctly. And it is a very long and arduous task. But what I want to try to point out is that because we are so organized and we are so efficient, that in Tropical Storm Isaias, we realized over $521,000 in unanticipated reimbursable revenue, meaning more than what we paid out of pocket when we declared that storm an emergency. In addition, Hurricane Ida, probably our biggest, hopefully our biggest ever disaster. We have quite a bit out of pocket in the 8748 line. However, based on what we have total obligated, pending, and final by FEMA, we will have an estimated unanticipated reimbursable revenue of $6.9 million. So to be very succinct, we are asking FEMA to recover $6.9 million of costs that we put out in the 2022-2023 budget. It was actually the 2022 budget, I'm sorry. That typically most organizations would not go after. They would lose that money, but we do not lose that money. So there is a significant reimbursement back to the village from those costs in those disasters. The next item that I want to talk about briefly is our emergency management team. This year, we created an emergency management team, which is the second year now it's going to be funded. We have 22 individuals as part of the emergency management team. What we have done as well as created this emergency management team and provided a significant number of training exercises, as well as asking them to do personal training, such as ISA, incident command system training. We are now training our staff to make sure that they're aware of an issue that has been in the news quite a bit. So just recently, we received active shooter training that was put on by Lieutenant Mark Gatta. In May, next month, we will be doing Stop the Bleed training. Because the emergency management team is comprised of several individuals from every single department, I felt that not only should I put this team together in the event that we have emergencies in the future, but also for those issues and tragedies that come up over and over again in public spaces, so that if we do have, unfortunately, God forbid, one of those horrific events, that we will have staff already trained to deal with those. And that's what the active shooter and Stop the Bleed and some other training that we'll have in the future is focused on. In 2023, 2024, a couple of areas of focus for us. We are very excited to start the discussion about fair housing, our fair housing project at the Hunter Tier. I am very excited myself to be the Army Corps liaison for the village, and that they will be presenting to us in just a few months the final plans for the Ward Avenue Bridge, which will be demolished before the end of the year, and then quickly they'll start reconstruction. That bridge will be 2.5 times the opening, I should say. The opening of that bridge will be 2.5 times larger than the existing bridge. And if that's any indication of what's happening, as we go towards the confluence and towards the, where the rivers are in the heights and also in the industrial area, I think we will have significant relief from that Army Corps project. The last item is something that we've been working on for a little while, and it's parallel mitigation. The photo here with the green grass is really an example of what the Flood Committee and Kate DeHaze, who is an environmental commissioner, is starting to spearhead, and we've got the attention of our state representatives to create areas off of I-95, which in the village alone, I-95 is over 28 acres of impervious surface. And so all of that water goes into our most vulnerable area in the sheet flow process. And what we're trying to do is get the state and the Thruway Authority's attention to create areas where there could be some collection of that water, that storm water, so that it doesn't run into our neighborhoods that are already impacted by the issues that we have with our rivers. And then this final picture is the new shovel that we've purchased for our excavator when we do our dredging. It will have slots in it so that this is specially designed for dredging. This was just ordered a couple of weeks ago, and especially designed for dredging in the rivers, so that there's less disturbance and more removal of the larger material that we're permitted to take out. And lastly, as you meet all of our staff as well as our department heads and talk to them, We do want to thank you for the opportunity to serve our community. If it wasn't for the Board of Trustees and the support that we got from you, we wouldn't be doing what many of us feel is a mission in life, and that's to serve the public, because it's not necessarily easy. I'm sure all of you know that, but it is extremely rewarding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. Does anybody have questions?
No.
No,
I just want to, go ahead, Nora.
No,
Oh, no, I'm
that's okay. Jerry, I don't know if this is a good time, and I know we have about 10 minutes, but it's something that came through the email from one of the members of the flood committee. Is there room to add to the budget? What is it considered? A grant program for individuals who have been affected by the flood, but by replacing like their pumps, or thank you, I didn't hear what you said, pumps or anything like that, or
Are
any,
you talking about the email from Steve?
yes.
Yeah, so I
This
looked
is
at
time
that.
for-
I looked at that, Leilani, and when I was in South Jersey, we created a grant program. We had about $20,000 allocated out of the water fund. And what we were trying to do is we were trying to enhance water conservation. So what we did was we created a program with that allotment where the individual residents would purchase either a washing machine, a dryer, a dishwasher. I'm not sorry, a washing machine, a dishwasher, or a smart controller for their irrigation system. And what we would do is we would give them a certain amount towards that purchase. So washing machine or dishwasher was like $300, a smart controller was like $125. And so if the washing machine cost $600, they'd get 50%. We'd created something like that, and there was just very minor administration involved in that. But we did that to try to incentivize people to do water conservation. In this regard, what the way Steve had presented it was that we would be helping people make sure that their equipment works properly, so that they're getting the new equipment, and we would basically enhance that purchase or give them some money back for that purchase. So I think something like that could work.
Is there room?
There's room in the budget, and as I've said before, there's room in the budget for some minor additions here and there. We've done that pretty much every year, where we look at some initiatives that the board is in favor of. But as far as the operations of that little grant program that he talked about, that wouldn't be a problem for us. It would really be now up to the Board of Trustees whether they wanted to have some kind of a grant incentive program for people to have pumps and those kinds of things, and make sure that they're operating correctly.
Okay, so I'll just one day put it to the one of the work agendas. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, village manager and your staff. There was a lot of back and forth and consternation about the fact that you all got paid commensurate with the hard work that you've done over the past few years. And I just want to point out that I think you've all done a great job, and the village is well served by the village manager's department. I think Dan himself has probably raised millions of dollars for us.
Millions, tens of millions of dollars. You're correct.
And I just want to thank you all for the hard work that you all do every day in somewhat difficult circumstances.
And thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad time is running out, because we do have Neary in the audience, Mayor, and he just received at the First National Model United Nations Conference, he just received the Best Diplomat Award.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of him. He's when he came to us as a high school intern, he seemed somewhat introverted, but that is absolutely the opposite of what he is all about. He is so outgoing and incredible. So we thank him very much for for continuing to make us proud.
Yes.
Thank you all. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
Sound like y'all want to go somewhere.
Oh, yeah.